Our gracious and Heavenly Father, we come before you as we do every school board meeting. We ask for your guidance, your direction, and your wisdom. Lord, I'd personally like to thank you for blessing me with the opportunity to serve my home community, the community I love. And I ask that as this board changes, as we add 3 new members, that those members will go forward with the same dedication to this community that this board has. And it is in your Son's name that I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing. Another great example of some of the amazing talent we have in the Osceola School District. Ms. Otterson?
The mission statement of the School District of Osceola County is inspiring learners to their highest potential as responsible, productive citizens.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Reyes?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Belinda Reyes, and I'm here to provide translation services. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Belinda Reyes, y estoy aquí para proveer servicios de traducción.
Thank you, ma'am. At this time, we'll turn to the board for positive comments. You're going to notice I'm going to go down the line and skip Mr. Booth. This evening is his last meeting with us, and I want to give him the opportunity to have the final word. We are so grateful for your leadership and your service and the opportunity we've had to serve alongside of you. So we look forward to celebrating this being your last meeting with us as well. Not because you're leaving us. We know you're going on to do great things, and you've led exceptionally well as a school board member. Mr. Thacker?
I've got a lot of things I could say of Mr. Booth.
Please don't.
Probably none of it here. So I would like to thank you. It's been my honor to serve with you these last 6 years. I've enjoyed it. Enjoyed your insights and wisdom. And I know you'll do great wherever you go from here. So thank you for all you've done. And I'd just like to thank all of our teachers out there, particularly those that are in school right now with face-to-face students, for all you're doing. We know it's difficult every day, but it's hugely important. Probably more so important this year to give kids some of this face-to-face with each other and with teachers. So I thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Ms. Thacker. Ms. Castillo?
Thank you so much. Of course, I would like to extend my gratitude for you, Mr. Booth. You have been an excellent role model for me the past couple of years, and you've always been very welcoming and made space for me to grow. So I appreciate that. You're an excellent leader, and I had it was my great honor serving with you. So thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Pace?
Certainly. Mr. Booth, could you come down front, please?
Still
little strange.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Booth, on behalf of the entire school board and certainly the school district and the community of Osceola County, we're certainly grateful for your service for the past 6 years. I know it's been my pleasure to serve with you in this regard as superintendent since 2015. We do wish you well as you move forward, and grandmother would be very proud.
Yes, you would.
And then this is also for you. The Osceola County School Board proudly honors Ricky Booth for his leadership and service to the Osceola County School District as a school board member from 2014 to 2020. His unwavering dedication to the students of the district has positively impacted and strengthened education in Osceola County now and well into the future. Given this 20th day of October, 2020.
Thank you. I don't care about I'm gonna say some more when I sit down, but I would like to get a picture with my family. Come on. Even though the superintendent also happens to be my family.
So I'm gonna.
The first thing I'd like to say before I sit back down is that these folks right here that you see have sacrificed so much to allow me to be a school board member. I think a lot of folks don't realize when you become an elected official, it's a huge sacrifice for moms or husbands or however it turns out, and for the kids as well. You know, I don't get to go to all the football games and baseball or softball games because sometimes I have to be here or having other duties here at the school district. So I wanted to bring them up so I could extend a big thank you to them and give them a round of applause. Hold on.
Let's get one official picture.
Okay, one official picture.
All right, big smile. Behind that mask.
Want to talk to me?
We'll know what year it was.
I hope so.
And I did have one other public comment, Mr. Weissier, to share. I just wanted to make sure that our whole community knew that just last week we had a check presentation with Osceola County government. Our Osceola County Commissioner friends have very generously shared some of their CARES Act dollars to benefit students, both young students as well as adult students here in Osceola County. So this check is for $2,214,145. It's going directly to purchase laptops for third graders to extend the school board's commitment to trying to get to one-to-one and to make sure that we have adequate devices to serve all of our learners here in Osceola County, as well as to strengthen job training programs, specifically rapid credentialing programs and ESL programs for adults here in our community as an effort to have a sustained impact on both the children and their parents and guardians who we want to get back into the workforce and better opportunities for each and every one of them. So I want to say thank you to Osceola County. I know the board will want to celebrate as well, but that's it for me, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Pace. Before I turn it back to Mr. Booth, I do just want to conclude my comments. The challenging part about working with Ricky is he never jokes around. He's always serious, and you just have to endure. No, Ricky's not only smart and capable and engaged and hyper committed to the work that we do in this community, but he's a genuine joy to be around. He can bring laughter to any room, any circumstance, and I know sometimes, Erica, that probably drives you a little nuts, but we've enjoyed it. And Ricky, my life is richer having had the opportunity to serve with you. I'm grateful for your friendship, your leadership, and this community is really, really fortunate that you stepped up to serve and to lead the way you have over the last number of years. So thank you. Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. You're right. My wife does say, "Stop being the jokey guy" sometimes, but that is who I am. I do enjoy life, and even in this service, which seems to be so serious sometimes, maybe I do it a little too much. I appreciate all the kind words from all of you. Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure serving with all of you. And gracias, mi amigo, Senor Soto. I know he's not here tonight, but we all have friendships. We've built friendships that are gonna last beyond my service here. And I've known Clarence my whole life pretty much. And I'm kin to the superintendent, so that'll last for sure. I can't get rid of that. But certainly, Terry, thank you for your words, and Tim, and I know Kelvin as well. We do have friendships that will last beyond, and I want to thank them for their service as Kelvin moves on. And as Mr. Weisshire moves on, these two over here will be the elder statesmen of the school board going forward. And actually, that's two good elder statesmen there. So thank you, guys. You made me get out of order, so I think I will say this. I think serving with you has shown this community what effective leadership looks like. And I have no reservation in saying that. And I can tell you, and just to toot our horn a little bit, and I normally don't do this, but when you go to these state school board meetings, everybody wants to know what Osceola's doing. And they want to know so much that they made this guy the president of the State School Board Association. And I can tell you that doesn't just happen because this is the crazy school board that it used to be 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. It's changed, and I'm very proud to be a part of that change. I know these gentlemen, this one that's not here tonight, and this one were here ahead of us, started that, and Mr. Thacker and I came in to be a part of that after. So thank you, gentlemen, for leading in that way. We appreciate it. You know, as an elected official, you always want to thank the voters of District 5 for granting you the opportunity to lead. So I do want to thank them for twice entrusting me here. I appreciate that. I want to thank district leadership. I've said this in my farewell address, but Dr. Pace has assembled an incredible team. And Tim did not tell everybody to turn off their cell phones, but Dr. Pace has assembled an incredible team. You see them sitting here today. And I want you to know that I'm grateful for all your work. You know, all the teachers and all the support staff. My wife, have I ever mentioned that my wife's a teacher? Tim?
No, never, not once, not once.
You know, not only was my wife a teacher, but both my parents and my mother's here tonight. My father is away. I'd say he's working, but I'd say more. He's enjoying some alone time up in Alabama. But both of them served this community as teachers for over 30 years. So I have that background, even though I've never worked for the school district myself. But I want to say thank you to them as well. All the support staff, again, and you guys are what makes this school district great, and we appreciate you. I want to say a special thanks to our communications team. I want to point you guys out because this board came up with a lot of initiatives. And most of those initiatives involve the communication staff doing something else and doing something more. And so I can't say thank you enough to those guys for pushing our message to the community and engaging this board more into the community, which has made a huge difference and a big impact. I want to say thank you to our amazing, and I think all these folks sitting here would agree, our amazing administrative assistant, I guess that's her title, Ms. Tanya Culver. As I wrote, I penned a letter to her earlier today, but as I wrote there, she has been, I wasn't going to say this, but it sounds right. I said she's been our partner in crime, I guess. Without her, she was the one there on the front lines answering the phones a lot of times and a lot of times solving problems before I even needed to get involved, or at least giving me the breakdown of what was going on. So Ms. Tanya, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I created a friendship with you that will also last beyond my time here, so thank you. You know, if you serve on a school board that appoints a superintendent, I think there's 24 now in the state of Florida, the most important decision that you can make is who your superintendent is, because she's the one that makes the day-to-day decisions. She's the one that hires these awesome people here and all the principals across the district. And I'm going to tell you that, and I know I'm biased anyway, but I'm going to tell you that we have one of the best superintendents in the state of Florida. And I can tell you that it's not just me that says that. It's other superintendents and other school board members around the state. They understand how great of a leader she is, and they understand the great work that she's doing here in Osceola County. I'm proud to call her our superintendent. and I'm proud to call her my cousin. I don't mind saying that since I'm leaving, we'll just say it. I'm proud that she's one of Osceola's own, that we raised here. A St. Cloud High School graduate, because we know St. Cloud's better than Osceola. But seriously, she's one of our own. And I don't think many communities can say that they've been able to raise up one of their own. That's not just a great a leader for their community, but that's actually recognized as a great leader around the state. So Dr. Pace, thank you. Deborah, thank you very much for enduring my time here, and we appreciate it. I've already thanked you guys. Look, we were able to do as a team here, everyone at the school district of Osceola County, what we've been able to do the last 6 years has been remarkable. And it's all of you sitting here today. And it's all those teachers in those classrooms every day. It's the maintenance guys replacing bulbs. And even though he always calls me to complain, it's Vince mowing the fields. It's all of you that has made this district great. And I know our motto has been good to great, but I believe we are great. And I believe we are great because of all of you. And as I step down as a school board member, I would encourage all of you to continue to strive for greatness. And I just want everyone to know that I appreciate you. This has been a blast. Most everything I do is going to be fun anyway because I just enjoy life. But this really has been a blast. And serving on this board will always be a part of who I am and a part of ultimately when I'm gone, a part of who I was. And so I want to say thank you to all of you for working together with me to serve the citizens of Osceola County. So with that, I'm going to wrap up, and I appreciate it.
Said Ricky Booth. Congratulations.
Let me say one more thing. I know I've talked too much.
This is normal.
Yeah.
One more thing.
Dr. Pace, I did not say anything about my top 10 breakfast or Miss Charity, so could you turn it over to her one more time since I've talked too much?
Absolutely. We had the honor last night of having our first top 10 tune in and talk. Annually, as a result of the leadership of Mr. Booth and the rest of this board, we have recognized the top 10 juniors at each one of our high schools in information sessions. So it's a time to celebrate with them and their families for their academic achievement, but also to connect them with leaders in our community and provide them with information about how they can prepare now in their junior year to apply and be accepted and earn scholarships at prestigious universities in the state and across the country. So obviously, in the world of COVID, we're doing things a little bit differently. So last night, we launched our first teams, Tune In and Talk. We had almost 30 students from St. Cloud High School, Harmony High School, and Tohoku-Galaiga High School, many of them with parents out their sides or listening on the next screen, along with Congressman Darren Soto, Representative Michael Rosa, and Commissioner Fred Hawkins, and Mr. Booth, and Anthony Cook from our College and Career Coordinator. Really had a meaningful hour together last night. So we're going to be continuing that. I believe tomorrow night it may be Mr. Soto's turn, then it's Mr. Thacker's turn, and then next week we'll come back to Mr. Weiseyer's district and Ms. Castillo's district. But a great opportunity for us to celebrate those outstanding juniors, but also help them prepare to take the next step and to really dream big and think about the great things that they have potential for. And then finally, Mr. Booth and I had an opportunity to enjoy a ribbon cutting with the City of St. Cloud today. I want to thank Mayor Blackwell and the City of St. Cloud's Commission for their leadership in listening to and honoring a student's voice, a citizen in our community who saw a need and took steps to make something happen to improve the safety of our students across this district attending Michigan Avenue Elementary, St. Cloud Middle School, and St. Cloud High School. So as of today, they cut the ribbon on an extended sidewalk pattern all along 17th Street. And it's all thanks to Charity Best and her leadership, a former St. Cloud High School graduate. Her family was there to celebrate with her. Mayor Blackwell gave her a key to the city of St. Cloud, and we just couldn't be more proud again of a student's voice making a real impact in our community. So thank you. That's it.
Great job. I want to take just a brief moment. Yassine Belfkin is with us as well. Just raise your hand so everyone knows who you are. This is one of our student representatives from Poinciana High School that's been with this board. He'll have an opportunity at the end of the meeting to share some very wise words, which every meeting he's had a lot of wisdom to share with us. I kid you not. But unfortunately, when we get to the end of the meeting, not everybody is always here. And I just want to take a moment publicly to acknowledge you and to thank you for who you are. Your heart and your wisdom is evident in everything you say and do. This board has commented just how impressed we've been with who you are and how hopeful we are for what it is that you'll continue to achieve. And it's worth noting at the beginning of the meeting as opposed at the end to just make sure you know how much we've all noticed how impressive you are and how grateful we are. You're a great representative of not just repping the Peak, but also Osceola County School District, and we're proud of you. So well done.
Thank you so much.
With that, we're gonna move into presentations. Mr. Clinch, I'm gonna be coming to you. As you guys probably know, this school board has been very committed to creating unique learning experiences and opportunities within Osceola County. And due to Mr. Thacker's leadership, the idea of Neo City Academy came to life. And we not only created an exceptional program, but a fantastic facility and a building envelope that performs at exceptional levels. And tonight we'll do a presentation to recognize yet another acknowledgement of the innovation and leadership that's been displayed at Neo City Academy. So Mr. Clinch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Pace. Good evening. Our team is gathered here this evening to celebrate two very special awards for Neo City Academy. This makes 9 awards and 16 times published in most every trade magazine. While awards are not the destination, they do help to confirm that we are on the right track. I'm going to go off script just a bit to share some exciting news about Neo City Academy, very recent news. Just this last weekend, our facilities team had the pleasure of accompanying Gilbane Company at the Associated Builders and Contractors Excellence in Construction Awards. The ceremony recognized Central Florida's outstanding projects, awarding 90 Eagle Awards to various contractors and subcontractors. I am happy to report that the Neo City Academy project was a prominent project throughout the evening, and that Gilbane was awarded an Eagle Award for Neo City Academy. There were another 3 subcontractors, Terry's Electric, Acousti, and Hartford South, that were also awarded Eagle Awards for Neo City Academy, and Energy Air received an award of merit. So Neo City Academy had a very, very strong night. Further, Neo City Academy and Gilbane were one of 4 nominees for the prestigious Project of the Year Award. Of the other 3 nominees, 2 were in the $100 to $250 million range, and the other was nearly $300 million. How could our $11.3 million Neo City Academy project stack up against those giants? Well, it turns out that when you set out to build a STEM high school and the first zero energy school in the state, lots of people stand up and take notice. Board, I am so happy as the team to share with you, and the reality is still setting in. God, this is heavy. Neo City Academy, Gilbane, was selected for the Project of the Year Award. This is testimony of all the hard work by Gilbane and the entire team to create a special and unique project under a very aggressive design and construction schedule. How did this success story start? Lord, it started with you and Dr. Pace, believing in us, supporting us throughout the process. It is amazing what we can accomplish when we all work together. Congratulations to Gilbane Building Company and the entire team from Little and Facilities. A special call out to the Gilbane project team, Jeff Tucker, Senior Project Manager, Kelly Esposito, Project Engineer, Phil Davis, General Superintendent. Also with us this evening, we have Shane Burnsted, Area Manager, and Robert Utsi, Manager of Business Development. Great job. We are so proud of you and your accomplishment. Well done. And now to the two awards. Earlier this year, the Neo City Academy project team was selected by the U.S. Green Building Council for the Climate Champion Award. There were hundreds of nominees. I am pleased to report that our project was selected because of the unique design solutions that address concerns of building in the local environment. Because of the innovative design and successful construction implementation, our project stood head and shoulders above the other submissions and reflects a paradigm shift in how buildings should be constructed. Not only from the ultra-low energy usage standpoint, but from a healthy building standpoint. In fact, Neo City Academy is ahead of its time in terms of healthy buildings. It incorporates several components that the ASHRAE Pandemic Task Force is now recommending. And Neo City Academy goes above and beyond these recommendations by also including components that are proven to enhance student performance, which are documented in the Harvard study. These include air purification systems to ensure that CO2 particulates remain low. What does this mean to our students? We have created an environment for our students to thrive. Coupled with the great leadership, Principal Meacham and others, our students are thriving. Mr. Meacham was at the table with us when we designed this school, and that was invaluable. Thanks to his input, we were able to design a school around programs that rather than a one-size-fits-all prototype. And the school is being used as a teaching tool. One example is our energy dashboard, which students use on a regular basis to complete assignments. And I logged into the energy dashboard before the board meeting tonight. And I often do, just to see how we're performing. And this evening, and granted, it's an overcast evening, our building consumption was 20 kW, and our solar production was 50 kW. That's 30 kW that we're putting back onto the grid at this moment. And we do this often. There are times where I log on at 9, 10 in the morning, and we're already producing more than we're consuming. And then on the weekends, oh my God, we are just killing it. So also keep in mind that 6 o'clock right now, these are the peak rates. So not only are we producing more than we're consuming, we're hedging the higher power rates, those peak rates. So I would like to recognize the project participants who contributed to this award. From Little, Philip Donovan, our project architect, who cannot be here this evening. Mr. Sean Tracy will be standing in for Philip this evening. Philip was just a tremendous resource on this project. The entire team from Gilbane and from the school district really enjoyed working with Philip. He was so passionate with everything he did. Really did great things for our project. With Gilbane, we had the A team. We had Mr. Jeff Tucker, Kelly Esposito, Phil Davis, and from my team, from facilities, Mr. Mark Lockard, my Director of Design and Construction, and Mr. John Viscomi, my Project Manager. Congratulations to Little Diversified Architectural Consulting, Gilbane Building Company, and the School District of Osceola County. Could the entire team, project team, come forward for the presentation of awards and recognition by the school board? Dr. Pace, Chairman Weishauer, would you like to join us out front?
please wrap
Did
it
you
around
just-
here.
Did you just call Phil Davis part of the A team? This is Gilvain's award. Congratulations. This is Little's award, and this is the school district's award.
I'm supposed to shake hands, so we're gonna shake down.
Hi, Dr.
Everybody smile.
All right, ready? Wait, Ricky's not in yet.
Oh, sorry.
Terry,
Oh, I see.
hold on one moment.
Hold on.
You probably need to like maybe, do the sideways thing.
That's not good for me.
It makes you look thinner.
No, I need to stand
I
forward.
need to do the behind other
Yeah,
people.
yeah, behind other
My
people.
good side is my front
Yeah.
side.
Here, Terry, get in here.
Yes,
Thank you.
we're still in.
Sorry. Yep. All right. Great.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations and thank you
Congratulations.
all. We appreciate it very much.
Sorry. Good
Great
job.
job. Great job. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. Shane didn't get to be in the picture. He had to be in the picture.
By the way, you have the best man. We are so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
I sincerely appreciate you.
Now the second award, the FEFA Award of Merit. FEFA stands for Florida Educational Facilities Planners Association and is the premier organization for the state of Florida, overseeing everything having to do with planning, design, and construction for K-12 and higher ed schools. So really big deal. There are two FEFA Awards of Merit presented each year for each category, being elementary, middle K-8, and high school. So a total of 6 awards. The 2020 Award of Merit to Little for Neo City Academy is their second award, and their first award was in 2019. So Little has won consecutive awards, and I don't recall that ever happening. There are several factors that are considered by the FEFA judges, which include innovative responses to educational programs, technology provisions, green design, and relationship of space and flexibility. We can all agree that Neo City Academy is a very innovative project, providing a unique and unparalleled experience for our students. Rather than a typical prototype, vanilla shell spaces, this school was designed around the academic programs to ensure that the design would hit the mark. Principal Meacham was at the table weighing in on every design decision. Throughout the design process, the primary objective to every design decision was an immersive learning environment. That was never compromised. It was the design driver that drove all the decisions. All the design drivers were identified and ranked by district school stakeholders, not by the design team, not by the construction manager. So all the district school stakeholders took part in this process. School operations, IT, curriculum, school nutrition services, transportation, maintenance. Everyone was at the table. Every design coordination meeting started with amplification of these design drivers. This school complies with all DOE requirements, including SREF, which is state requirements for educational facilities, and cost per student station. In fact, our costs are well below the state caps for a high school. Granted, the school does not have all the amenities of a typical high school. Our costs are below the middle school caps and within $1,000 of the elementary school caps. That's incredible. My DOE counterpart was able to tour Neo City Academy shortly after the completion. He was very impressed with what we were doing to achieve these low costs. Neo City Academy is a departure for the typical schools and provides a unique educational experience for our students while achieving all DOE requirements and low cost while saving significant operational dollars. With that, I will ask Mr. Sean Tracy, receiving for Philip Donovan, our project architect with Little, to come forward to receive his award. And school board members, do we want to do a photo?
No, since we already did that, we'll just do this one.
Okay. Here.
Awesome.
Congratulations, Sean. Thank you. The Neo City Academy project was a tremendous lift for many. It was, a great effort by Gilbane Building Company, by Little Diversified Architectural Consultants, and by the school district. There were many players involved in this project. And we are, on behalf of the school district, we are most appreciative of everyone involved in this very successful project. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mark, well done. Absolutely, yep. Neo City really is an exceptional program, as said, and thank you to all the partners and contributors to that work, as was noted. I'll just share briefly on behalf of the entire school board how grateful we are for your work, your leadership, and your commitment to the vision that was cast about creating that school, not just as a learning environment, but for so many of the technology and technological advances that were incorporated in construction. We're truly grateful for the partnership. With that, we're going to move into positive comments. Oh yeah, if you're here for just the presentation and you want to slip out, now's a great opportunity for you to do so. If you want to stay, please stay. It'll be great. As we get ready for positive comments, most of you know this. I'll call you up to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. If you get to the 3-minute mark, I will be asking you to conclude your comment at that time. So I ask that you please pay attention to the time that's allotted to you, and we will go from there. First up will be Mr. Larry Allen. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. I'm having a little difficulty here. My name is Larry Allen, 722 Mabbitt, and forgive me in advance if I lose my cool tonight. I just want to start off with a quote. Hopefully I'll remember how it goes. There may come a day where the courage of men fails, we forsake our friends, and break all bonds of fellowship, but it is not this day. Since taking this job, I'm naturally a shy person. I don't like speaking in public, but since taking this job, I've been exposed to some of the situations my friends and my members see themselves in, and I feel like I'm obligated to speak up for them. So I've got a couple stories for you. The first one is they're both concerning insurance. The first one, there's a member who in August made an insurance appointment, made an appointment for diabetes, vision, what have you. Her doctors were not on the list. She was told, hey, just sign them up for the list, they'll be approved. It's almost routine. Unfortunately, we're still in negotiations with Advent Health. So a couple weeks later, she finds this out. Meanwhile, her appointment date is coming up. And her doctor told her it would be cheaper for you to come in as uninsured as opposed to using Tier 3 insurance. Osceola County, we can do better than this. The second story. The second story is a friend of mine who's also a member who's dealing with cancer. And her treatment is very regimented. So she has to have certain appointments at certain times. And she's not allowed to drive. And of course, her doctors were Advent doctors too. So she says it took 2 weeks for her to finally get an appointment because they didn't recognize Aether Health. They needed the tax ID number. They couldn't find our insurance. When she mentioned Evolutions, they had a better grasp of what was going on. Then they finally got the They finally got her records. At first they lost those too. And so now the closest place she can get is $30 in an Uber one way, or an hour and a half on a bus. And I think we can do better than what we're doing for our people. And I hope you heard me, school board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we're gonna hear from Mr. Scott Glass. Good evening, sir, and welcome. Please state your name and address to the record.
Thank you, Mr. Weishauer. My name's Scott Glass. I'm an attorney with Schutz and Bowen, 300 South Orangeau. I wasn't expecting to be called up because I was going to speak on item 13.03. Just wanted to let you know, as a representative for Mattamy Orlando LLC, we were pleased to say we were able to negotiate an agreement with the council, and we support approval of that agreement this evening.
Great, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next is Mike Izagiri. Good evening and welcome to you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Mike Geary. Live at 101 South Fort Lauderdale Beach Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm here to talk about item 12, and I would prefer to defer my time until that topic comes up.
Sure, glad to do so for you, sir. Thank you. And next would be Mr. Richard Rodriguez.
Good evening, school board. My name is Richard Rodriguez, 1314 Moss Creek Lane, Champions Gate. And I'm also here, would like to defer my time in the event that a question is asked on 12.1.
That's perfectly fine. Thank you, sir. Okay, that does conclude anyone that's handed in a slip to speak to the school board this evening. Is there anyone else this evening that would like to address the board? Okay, hearing seeing none, we'll close down this portion of our meeting for public comment. At this time, board, I'll bring it back to you for agenda modifications. I do know there are some modifications, so I'm actually gonna first go to our superintendent.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Weishauer, members of the board. I am going to ask to equal items 9.06 and 9.07. They are those amendments to contracts with our advisor group and our executive operator, Provencher and Rosen. They will be coming back to you at a later date. In addition, you have a blue sheeted item for item 13.03. This is an update to the agreements that Mr. Glass referenced, just some minor tweaks, and all of that has been sent to you in advance. And then finally, I would like to request a discussion from the board under unfinished business, the Newman property, Nova Road property and sale agreement. There's some information that I need to bring forward to the board, and then I'll be asking for some direction, not action, but basically consensus on where we go from here with that. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. So superintendent, I'm gonna place the Nova Road discussion under unfinished business. We'll address it at that time.
Yes, sir.
I'll move for approval.
One moment.
Oh, sorry.
Let me just go left to right, Mr. Thacker,
I'm okay.
Ms. Castillo,
Thank you.
Mr. Booth.
I'm good and I'll move for approval. You're good.
I'm good, sir. Thank you. So I do have a motion by Mr. Thacker with, was that a second, Mr. Booth, second, Mr. Thacker? On approval of the agenda with the modifications and approval of the consent agenda. Board, any other discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. At this time, board, we will be moving down to information items. There is 11.01 and 11.02, that's information for you. Dr. Pace on 11.03, you already did a presentation. Is there anything additional to add on that?
No, I apologize.
No, that's perfectly fine. So board, at this time, we're gonna move into section 12 under business and finance. This is one of the items that some of the speakers had come to address if needed. At this time, first, I'll bring it to the board for any motion or action on 12.01.
I'll make a motion for 12.01.
I'll second it.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Ms. Castillo with a second by Mr. Booth on approval of 12.01 with discussion. Mr. Booth, the floor is yours.
Chairman, before that, Mr. Chairman, I need to declare a conflict on this item. My son's company was also a bidder on this project, and I will be abstaining from voting.
Very good. We'll make note of that, and I know you'll file the appropriate
I will
paperwork.
file the appropriate paperwork.
Very well. Mr. Booth, you recognize?
I think we talked about how great Pirtle was last time, and I'll say that again, certainly, and, but I also made known how I think this process should go going forward, and a policy that we ought to look at. Now, it's my last board meeting, so you can throw that out the window if you want, but Mr. Bass is sitting right there. And Mr. Bass, if I was you, what I would do is sit down with Mr. Kreppenbacher, maybe our purchasing team, and see if we can't come up with a solid model that will prevent two at a times, which I don't think is the right way to do it. However, I can tell you that the company that is number one here is a fantastic, awesome, really great company. Sir? I'm done.
I would just share with the board that I have had an opportunity to do some research, and I have asked Sarah and our procurement team to look at our current scoring sheets and also the necessity for rubrics so that there's better clarity as we move forward. That will require some adjustments to our RFP documents, but Mr. Kreppenbacher has researched the concerns that the board raised at the last meeting, and at this time, I don't see anything that would stand in the way of me supporting staff's recommendation based on the results of the RFP process.
Thank you, Dr. Pace. Mr. Kreppenbacher?
Yeah, just on Mr. Booth's issue about the new policy. If there's consensus on this board sitting here now to look at it, I'll start looking at the legal research on it.
Give you my head now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Just out of deference to those that came to speak on this item, in case you need any clarity, I'll be voting in favor of this item. Ms. Castillo made a motion for it. Mr. Booth seconded. I don't know if that implies support.
I will support.
But as it stands, it looks like we'll land in a 3-0 vote, but I do want to make sure I recognize if you'd like to speak, it's your opportunity. If not, we'll move forward with our vote.
We're good, thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, board, I will take action on this. I'm looking for an affirmative vote or a vote down on 12.01. All those in favor, please indicate by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 3-0 with one extension for Mr. Thacker. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
At this time, board, we'll move down to section 13 under facilities.
I'll make a motion to approve 13.04.
Second that. No, I can't second.
Okay. I will second 13.04.
My recommendation, Tanya, if they vote on 13.04 and Mr. Thacker abstains on 13.03, can you create, or do you want an individual
Here, we'll do this
vote?
real
Okay,
quick.
that's
I'll make
what
a
I want.
motion for 13.01.
Second.
Yep, we're good. So let me just first recognize that the previous motion on 13.04 made by Ms. Castillo, seconded by me, has been withdrawn. There is no motion on that item. I'll recognize a motion by Mr. Booth on the approval of 13.01, and Ms. Castillo, was it you on the second? Mr. Thacker. So we have Booth, Thacker. This is 13.01.
I'll make a motion to approve 13.04.
One second, we're not there yet. Any discussion on 13.01? All those in favor,
I'm with
please
you, though.
indicate by stating aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye, aye, aye.
Motion carries 4-0. 13.02.
I'll make a motion to approve 13.02.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Ms. Castillo with a second by Mr. Booth. Any discussion on this item, board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Board, at this time, we're gonna move to 13.03,
I'll make a motion to approve 13.03.
and I will second the motion. At this time, we're gonna open up for discussion, but first, Mr. Thacker, I'm gonna come to you.
Yeah, I have a conflict on this item. My wife, I think, was representing the developer. I'm not sure that she is anymore. But since I'm not sure of what that status is, just for the appearance sake, I will be abstaining from voting.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Thacker. Mr. Kreppenbacher, do you have any briefing you'd like to provide for the board as we sit with the blue sheet, or Dr. Pace?
Actually, the only thing I'd like to publicly say to the board is I want to thank Mr. Callen, Mr. Glass. This was a very detailed, very complex matter to work on and resolve, follow through with the policies and concerns that the board has. And I appreciate that attention to detail. I feel quite comfortable with the work that's been done.
Great, thank you. Before before my comments, board, any other comments? Ms. Callen, thank you again. Ms. Kruppacher, thank you. This has been a topic of great concern and discussion for the board, and you guys have done exceptional work in working and representing us through this. I'll be voting in favor of this item at this time. We'll bring it for a vote. Oh, Mr. Glass, you have anything additional you'd like to comment on?
No, thank you, sir.
Okay, very well. So board, it's gonna come back to you. All those in favor of approval of 13.03, please indicate by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 3-0 with one abstention from Mr. Thacker. At this time, we're gonna move into superintendent recommendations.
I'll make a motion to approve item 14.01
Okay, so we do have a motion by Mr. Booth and a
With-
second.
with the discussion.
Very good, second by Ms. Castillo on the approval of 14.01. Mr. Booth?
This is the last time I'll vote on this, and we have been a member of this effort my entire time on the board and previously as well. I just want to say, I think it's very important to be a member of this effort. We are so lucky in Osceola County to have only 2 municipalities. Go to our neighbor to the west, Polk County. They have a county commission and a school board. They also have 17 different municipalities. That means they have 17 city councils. So they never go to Tallahassee with one vision. We're able to get together with Kissimmee, St. Cloud School District and the county commission and go together, and when we involve our chambers as well, our business leaders, and go to Tallahassee with a short list of items that we know that we can maybe get done. I hope that sounded right. And I can tell you in the past that it's worked, and it's meant millions of dollars in return for this district, and nobody can dispute that. So I speak very much in favor of continuing our effort together with the 2 cities and the county. Mr.
Well
Chairman.
said, Mr. Booth. Board, any other comments on this item? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approval of 14.01, please indicate by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. This time we're coming down to item 15. Mr. Kruppenbacher, anything from you?
Yes, members of the board, I have 4 items. The first is an issue was raised by Mr. Joyner a couple of months ago regarding an HVAC contract that was awarded in the creek. I have investigated it. I've spoken with purchasing and warehouse or facilities and maintenance, both departments. I have spoken with Mr. Joyner. I've reached out to some other people and not had contact back. That said, I don't find anything having been done wrong by our staff. What we did identify was that in awarding a contract for this, it was awarded as a mechanical contract. One, it was approximately $154,000 or so. 147 of which was cooling systems. So it really, in the future, they were rushing to get Canoe Creek done as we took it over in time for the opening of school. We met with Ms. Graber, we met with the superintendent. We have put in place so the issue of a contractor we award something to, not offering the opportunities if they're gonna accept bids to the approved contractors we have on our list. Will not happen again. Okay? And so with that, I would tell you, I think our staff acted in the best interest of trying to move forward. And I've had discussions with facilities, and Dr. Pace, I think, joins me in the conclusions that were reached during that item. Second, yesterday, Giselle Lee and I had a Zoom conference with a number of the former students of LACSA who came here last time. It was an hour-long conference. I would describe it as they were engaging, they were concerned, they were respectful, and they raised great points. We went through their things, and I think we are really quite candidly in in most areas, gonna come up with a product that everybody is good with. We'll have some bumps like we always do. We have a lot of work to do. We're gonna reach out and talk to, Dr. Pace and I talked about, reach out and talk to some of the students at other high schools to make sure that we're hitting with. Ms. Castillo is gonna join our next Zoom meeting with the students. We're gonna schedule it and get back with them. I have been sent, I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, the work product, I'll get it to you, Ms. Castillo, of the students at Oxford on the reporting that we asked them to engage in. So I can tell you, I think everybody in good faith is trying to get to the same goal of education and protecting one another. And I want to thank the board and Dr. Pace for being open to address this, deal with it, and let's make sure we don't have an issue. And it's going to take a little more time than I think we'd all would have liked, only because I think there's been some more complex issues. We've got to do it right for the students. So I give you that. It was a very good, respectful, good meeting.
Thank you.
3, I have in front of you a draft letter. I will tell you that the great thing about writing important letters like that is I can always give the draft to Dr. Pace, who was an English teacher. And somehow I can look at you and say, this letter I drafted looks great in my opinion, but I want to thank her because she does a great job of really improving the thoughts and work products in it. And if you want to make any tweaks, we're wide open to it. Otherwise, we would propose that that letter be sent to the chair and the county commission members with copies to the other governmental entities, members that serve on the policy committee.
Very good. I'll just say briefly, thank you for your work on this. This has been something I know importance to the whole board, but I know it's something I brought up, and I wanted to say thank you personally for kind of working through this and putting together the framework, and I'm in support of moving forward.
And then finally, just to let you know that the Cigna case in Tallahassee with the Division of Administrative Hearings has been removed by us to the First District Court of Appeals, and it is currently sitting there regarding whether or not the hearing officer even has jurisdiction to hear the case. Otherwise, matters are fine. And then finally, I'll just add, we continue to be open. Florida Hospital, we've told them what it takes to get in the deal, and Dr. Pace has had communications with them, and we await for that. But I just wanted to publicly say we continue to be open to their being in the
Great. Thank you, Mr. Grumbacher. Board, any questions for council?
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Thank you. One last thing.
Yes, sir.
It's my own 5. I just wanted to say this. I've done this a long time, and I am not exaggerating when I tell you, I don't think I've been more proud of being associated with the board. Ricky, you really hit it. This has been a really talented board that cares, does their work. And I wanted to thank you because you've always been respectful. You've always been careful in dealing with issues, and it's made a lawyer's life really pleasant. And I appreciate your professionalism and your character.
Thank you, Frank, and I can sure come up with something in the next 2 weeks. If you want some work, I don't know.
I'm happy to contribute to that.
I appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind, if I could just have one moment. Thank you, Frank, for what you do. I know you have a ton of experience, and since we're in the attorney comments, I just wanted to say that I love having Frank here. He has such a wealth of knowledge, school board knowledge, but as I leave, I can't help but to remember Mr. Larry Brown and all the work that he did and his team did for the school district as well. And those are big shoes to fill, as you know, not figuratively, literally, but figuratively.
I think I'm thinner than Larry.
Yeah, maybe, but no, I've been. I just do want to take a moment to remember Mr. Brown and his years and years of service, and to thank Frank for all of it, because he's helped me through a bunch of issues and hasn't even been here that long. So thank you, Frank.
Board, anything further?
No, just thank you for
for all of your work.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Superintendent update?
Yeah, back to school update, just a few things that I wanted to bring to the board's and the community's attention. First of all, our digital learners now, as of last week, we're at 53% and 89% average daily attendance. Face-to-face is at 47% with 91% average attendance. I will say that as the first grading period has come to a close, we are tasking our administrators and our teachers and our counselors and our deans with really looking deeply at student grades, student performance, student attendance, because I remain concerned that the digital learners, some of them are not being successful. And we are encouraging people to consider bringing them in face-to-face. While we have stabilized schedules, we're not doing a rash reopening. We are having those individual conversations about perhaps this particular child would be better served in our classrooms with our teachers. There may be some rumors out there that everybody has to come back face-to-face in January. Obviously, I've not brought forward a decision to you as a board yet. I have tasked Mr. Phelps with reconvening our back-to-school task force, including our medical partners from Nemours, Dr. Alexander and Dr. Cadillac, as well as Bianca from the Department of Health as a supervisor, so that we can really, as a group, have some deep discussions about what our local data is telling us, so that we can bring forward an informed recommendation to this board about how we go forward. The emergency order, signed by the commissioner and approved by the governor, does expire at the end of first semester. It covered first semester with that innovative option and full funding. It remains to be seen what happens from that. Obviously, that is a part of our decision making. We have always maintained our full-time flexible Osceola virtual school program, which does serve students K through 12. There's no indication that we would move away from that whatsoever. But over the next couple of weeks, we're going to pull together our medical professionals, some principals, parents, our teachers union representatives, our support staff representatives, so that we can again have that discussion and bring forward perhaps a modification to our Ready, Set, Start, Smart plan that we believe would make sense for a safe second semester for both our teachers, our staff members, and our students. But we can't neglect the fact that learning is our chief priority. And there is no wavering from the commissioner, from the governor about state accountability systems, both for students, schools and districts, as well as for teachers and BAM scores. So that is fully coming up. We have continued, based on the board's direction, with our COVID testing in our schools, our pool testing. We have now tested at every one of our sites. So we're starting round 2. We've done 3,001 total tests and had only 2 positive students and 6 positive staff members. So the positivity rate is less than 0.3 so far. So I feel good about what's happening in our schools. I will tell you that we continue to see more result of exposure outside the school resorting in quarantines than spread within our schools. Some of you may know, 2 weeks ago we had to quarantine the Celebration High School football team because of 3 positive cases at Freedom High School when they played on Friday night. Not a single one of those kids came back positive. That doesn't mean, though, we don't follow CDC guidelines in quarantine, because our quarantine procedures are working to keep spread to a minimum in our schools, which again reflects what's happening in our community. Positivity rates in the community continue to remain low. Every once in a while there's a bump, and it typically goes back to how many tests were done, but as of today, we had a 5.19% positivity rate. That's actually a little higher than it was earlier in the week, and only 57 new cases were reported. But that's really all I have, unless there are questions about back to school.
Thank you, Dr. Pace. Board, any questions?
I'd just like to make a comment because I want to thank Dr. Pace and our staff. We did have an issue last week or the week before where we had to quarantine one of our middle school cross-country teams. And that doesn't sound like a big deal to maybe us, but it's a very big deal to those parents, especially if they had one of the best cross-country runners in the country or in the county. And I want to thank you and your staff, Dr. Pace. We all kind of came up with a plan to have them. I think they ran tonight.
Mr. Allen was
Mr. Allen
there.
was
He
there.
got to see them, and he sent me a picture of happy kids and happy
so,
parents.
Thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you, Mr. Allen. Thank you, Dr. Pace, for helping those parents out. Now, obviously, if it was a basketball team or a softball team, wouldn't be able to do that. But in this situation, we were able to come up with a great solution, and everybody was happy. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Board. Any other comments or questions? Okay. This time, we're going to move down to item 17, unfinished business. Superintendent, this is where we discuss police and discussion on Nova Road.
Yes, sir. As you know, board members, we have a current agreement with a purchase agreement, whatever it's called, Rhonda. Purchase and sale agreement with the Newman family for a pretty significant piece of property on Nova Road. Rhonda and her team, Mr. Veal is here today as well, have done the due diligence that goes along with that. As you know, we had to have a scrub J test. That came out okay. However, in looking at the wetlands piece on the lower half of the property, which is where a proposed high school would go, we've learned that the wetlands is now not 12 acres, but 20 acres, which would mean about a $1.2 million cost in wetlands mitigation. In addition, we found a site or an area on that particular part of the site where there is some concern about soil quality and potentially down the road the need to demuck. Now, that's not completely unnormal, but we do know that we have had issues at some of our high school sites where wetlands, drainage, type soil conditions presented problems well down the road. The plan for this site was to use 45 acres at the north side bordering the Nova Road area to put a bus barn, an east side bus barn, which would be able to allow us to move off of Michigan Avenue, leave traffic there, move our maintenance team from Virginia and 10th Street to the site on Michigan Avenue, freeing up that property to potentially go back on the City of St. Cloud's tax rolls, which they were very, very happy about and looking forward to in anticipation. Moving that transportation site out to a property on the east side like Nova Road would allow us to significantly impact and lessen deadhead time. In other words, time that bus drivers are spending just moving one bus to the other. Because currently all of our maintenance is still happening at the Simpson Road facility, and it's just not an ideal location there on Michigan Avenue. Current sale price is about $10 million, all right? That's for the whole piece. In talking with my team yesterday, I'm gonna be honest, I have some reservations about committing $10 million to that whole piece of property at this time for several reasons. Number one, we already know that $10 million cost goes up by 1.2 million in mitigation. Now the cost would come down a little bit because we would take some of the high-end meters out, but it still is not an even balance. Second, if we're talking about additional cost to bring the soil condition up to quality, you know, that $10 million purchase could start to be 12, 13, and we won't need that high school site for at least 10 years. It's outside of our 10-year plan. In talking with the team yesterday, we tossed around the idea of offering to buy the 45 acres at the top, allowing the property owner then to consider developing that bottom part with something else. And speaking with their legal counsel last night, they're not interested in doing that. They would rather we release them, or they would release us from the purchase and sale agreement if we don't want to purchase the entire property. My reservations remain the same, board members, but we're looking for your direction here. Do we move away from this purchase and sale agreement, give up the transportation site and continue to look for something out there? I'll be honest, transportation depot on the west side is really more important right now in terms of an immediate need because of the overcrowding at Horizon. Based on the fact that that high school site wouldn't be needed for at least 10 years, yes, residential growth in that area is projected to be super, super high, but not in the immediate future. And I am concerned about the fact that our sales tax revenues are down and we don't know what impact fees will do. But enrollment is not growing at the rate that it was growing when we did our study 3 years ago. So Mr. Beal is here, Ms. Blake is here. If you have any questions, I'm obviously not the expert on this particular aspect of the work, but we're kind of needing your direction here tonight.
What's the total number, Vic?
131.
131. So 45 for a bus barn, you were planning on 50 for a high school, but now you've got extra wetlands and.
So 45 to 50 for transportation, the balance would be the high school. We're running about 7.
Well, I was pulling like 20 acres out.
So we cannot make the site work without the wetlands. So we would definitely need to do the geotech to determine what's under there, to decide if we would have to demuck, et cetera. If the site will not work, if we cannot encompass the wetlands. So we had 2 plans. One had the parking on it, and the other one had the buildings on it. Depending on if we're dealing with the city or the county, there's a difference of of opinion on how we should place our buildings in the future on the land. But the site will not work without use of all 131 acres between the two uses that we want to use it for, so there's no land to spare.
Yeah, so I know this is the third time we went through like an appraisal on it. Fourth time. Why does this seem to be new revelations, if you don't mind me asking? I'm not putting you on the spot right now.
So as we work.
Kinda I am, I guess. One more time.
No worries. So as we work our way through the due diligence, one of the things that the appraisals were consistent on was how much wetland was there. So we reached a point where we did a wetland classification. So the wetland classification has shown that it's more like 20 acres instead of the 12 acres that was consistently shown in the appraisal. If we really want to get into that, I could get Mike up here, but we think it's really conservative, the wetland classification, and we believe that additional acreage might be more to farming and how the land has been used over the years. But unless we were willing to commit to do the phase 1 geotech, the limited, which by the way, the proposal for that is $23,075, we won't know for sure if it's 12 or 20 acres.
And we're also running out of time.
Yeah, and we would definitely have to ask for another amendment. You know, we came to you for one amendment to extend due diligence and closing. The additional testing would take another 3 to 4 weeks. So we would have to ask the Newmans to be open to an additional amendment, which may put the closing into December, possibly January. So there is more cost, but that's the process of due diligence with each test. Like a phase 1 led us to a phase 2, which led us to a wetland, which now leads us to a limited geotech. And when I saw that price and the possibility, well, not a possibility, 1.2 million in mitigation credits, plus should we have to do any soil suitability work on top of it, I went to Dr. Pace because I didn't feel I should continue to invest until we got further direction from them. If you wanted us to continue with that type of investment.
One more thing I'll just say, and thank you for that, is that board, and I'll leave this discussion after this and leave it up to you folks. But what I would say is that I wouldn't want to end up in a situation that we are now, where we're struggling. We're talking about we know what's coming on the east side. It's already been approved. Certainly we'll work on some of the other things going forward. But we don't want to end up in the same position we are right now, struggling to find a west side site if we know we've got a site that we can get purchased and have in hand. Because 10 years from now, that site's not going to be $10 million. It's going to be $30 million or $40 million if there's houses all around it or more. Look at what we're struggling with now on the west side. So that's all I'll say on that, and I'll leave it to the rest of the board.
Thank you. Mr. Kreppenbacher?
Members of the board, going forward, I've observed one thing. Staff, Rhonda, correct me if I'm wrong, I've learned basically doesn't move on any due diligence till they have the board's green light to go ahead. And then there'll be times where they don't want to move on that till they get the board's approval. I think if the board could by consensus say to Dr. Pace, we trust your judgment within your spending authority. She can't go over 50,000. For you to approve due diligence, I think one, we could expedite review of property. Rhonda, we could expedite review of property if Dr. Pace had the authority within her spending on due diligence without having to come to the board up front before we have an agreement. And we wouldn't be tying up landowners' land. Meaning if we spent 3,000 or 4,000 and got a report back that said you got wetlands everywhere, the decision might be we're not going forward at all. As opposed to tying up their land and I think Dr. Pace has the judgment to know whether or not to do it, and I think our lawyers and real estate consultants that we work on this, we know when it would be foolish to spend any dollar and when, you know what, it's a prudent thing to do because we have a shot, and to do an agreement, a quick agreement that was within Dr. Pace's authority that basically said, if we hurdle this, you're agreeing to sell the property for X. Am I making that? But we're not delaying going forward.
I understand what you're saying. I have some comments, but I'm deferring to the board. Yes, sir, Mr. Thacker.
I'm not sure I agree with Mr. Pepperbacher on this one. Mike, I think we need to look, I think we need maybe, looking at myself, maybe should have been paying more attention to some of these things. From a operational standpoint, it concerns me if we're tying up people's property for a long period of time when now we go, well, we may not even want to build a school there. We've got to get very serious about what we need property for and where we need property before we start tying up property in a contract for 6, 8 months, a year, 2 years, or before we get involved in a contract where there's a gas line and we don't know it's there and we've got subdivisions being planned around it, planned around the school. Something's not, doesn't feel good to me with this thing, and I guess at this point, I'm gonna be here a little bit longer. Getting out of that doesn't make me feel good at this point.
Ms. Castillo, anything?
Just so that I'm clear, Dr. Pace, you're looking for direction on whether or not to continue due diligence or whether or not to continue with the property itself?
Whether or not to continue to do due diligence. We'll have to ask the owner for an extension, and then we'll spend the $23,000 on the next step of the soil. With the intent then, if we're going to move forward, that we want to purchase the entire 131 acres.
So, Ms. Blake, I know you want to comment. I want to offer some comments first, and then I'll come to you or other board members. Mr. Krumbacher, I'm actually, Clarence, I don't know if we're 100% on the same page here, but we're close on some of the thoughts that you were sharing. As Ms. Blake will know, the approach that they used in this process is the approach that the board requested, which is contract the property first, don't expend due diligence dollars, and then come to us later and say, oh, we just spent $2,000, $200, $20,000, whatever the number is, and oh, by the way, we want your approval to buy the property. So I want to make sure that I mention that because what you have done is exactly what this board asked you to do. And I agree, Mr. Thacker, with your point on that is that, with all due respect, Mr. Krumbacher, I wouldn't want to reverse what we've already put in place.
I'm not asking for that.
Okay, from a process standpoint, I do think it should be, the board says, we're looking for land on X part of the county. Our team goes out and starts doing recon, identifies some opportunities, brings it back, said this is what we're seeing in our study. Do you see something that we should pursue? We like this one or that one. The board gives a head nod, says go to the next level, negotiate the best price for us, bring us back a contract and appraisal to review to make a business decision, and then begin with the due diligence process. And as mentioned, each one of these elements often reveal another element that you have to adjust to or dig deeper within. So with that, I think the process has been handled appropriately. To the question, Board, you know I raise concerns just from a business standpoint about where we were on this property, although from a personal standpoint, I really struggle with it because I think, Mr. Thacker, to your point, all of us around the room that work in this are always sensitive to the fact that we have valued partners in the community that we don't want to tie up, that we don't want to drag through a process, and that we don't want to in any way hurt or harm through our processes, our policies, or through our purchasing. However, we always come back to saying, well, you know, my heart says this, my head says this, and you know what, I'm elected to use my head and make decisions with discernment, and so this is where I stand. You know, I had concerns about the valuation of the property, of course, as you guys know. Now we layer in the additional element of additional cost and how that may compound on us. Then we still look at the fact that, which I think we touched on at the last meeting, the meeting before, sales tax revenue, impact fee revenue, what may or may not happen, the idea that this school would be outside of our current 10-year plan, the fact that we absolutely all agree that we need a site to build a facility for transportation on, that's not a question. But if the property owners aren't willing to bifurcate the property, that really leaves us in a position of saying what our real today need is A, and not A and B, and A is not an option for the owner, so it kind of leaves us at an impasse of saying what our immediate needs are can't be met. All that said, my opinion would be this: if we sit here tonight and we say the owner, and you have to answer this with clarity, the owner would not be agreeable to an extension or splitting the property in some way, and we think that's the only business decision this board can make today, understanding our financial position, our current need, and our future need, then I would say we can't move forward with the property at this time, unfortunately, and it would only be the fair and right thing to do to release the owner from the contract, agree that we can't move forward, and allow them to go to the marketplace and secure a highest and best opportunity for their family. If you said to me that the owner may be open to it, then I'd say go back and see what we can do. If there's a way to get us our transportation piece only, then let's push it further. If not, we're probably dead in the water there. So those are my thoughts. Ms. Blake.
You may have clarified it. I just want, and it might I don't fully understand what Mr. Harris was saying. The site's definitely needed, so we haven't recommended a site that we don't need. I mean, nobody's doubting we don't need the site, we just don't need it within the 5-year window. Currently, right now, everything around that, since we've started looking at that site, has been sold out to developers and has either already gone through the SDP process with the county and or it's going through that process right now. That to Dr. Case's concern, it's a long-term banking, and is that the best interest of the money now, knowing that our economic situation is changing? So we definitely need the site there, it will be needed in the future. It's just our status has changed as such. Can we afford to land bank that type of money at this point in time? We have not asked them yet about the amendment to extend it, but it is my understanding for right now, they said they won't split the property. But we have not asked them about the amendment to, if we were to move to purchase all of it, we still don't know if they would even agree to extend the amendment at this point for another 6 to 8 weeks to get everything done.
Got it.
But right now, our interpretation would be they would not let us split the property.
Okay.
We would have to go back and get it in writing.
Board, I know where I am, but I want to see where you are. What is the flavor of the board as we sit at the moment?
Yeah, I can see that just based on the fact that this is a new thing and all the other factors that you brought up, Dr. Pace, as well as understanding our financial position, I would agree with you, Mr. Weishire.
Okay, Mr. Booth.
I don't have any further comments. Ask Mr. Batt.
He has not been sworn in.
I just want, if you could, Mr. Chairman, I want it to be very clear the direction that's being given to the state representatives, Ms. Blake, and that is we are to take the steps, Mr. County, to get out of the contract, but offer the opportunity that we'd like to stay in it for that parcel of property we want for the barn. If not, we unfortunately are at the crossroads.
Yeah, so yes, that is what I was saying, and I think what everybody was agreeing to. The only other question I would pose, I guess, I don't know, Dr. Pace, I think it's maybe a Ms. Blake question, or Mr. Beal, is with the additional elements that have been revealed through due diligence, is there additional negotiating room on the totality of the property? If we were to say, we want the first portion now with an option to buy the second portion, but at a lower rate because of the increased cost and the appraisal evaluations. Is there any option there? If so, it's worth a brief discussion about that. If not, then I would just fall back to what we just said.
I think that's what the next step should be, to contact them. We just contacted them about splitting the property, the answer was no. So I think we need to go back and say, because there was 11 acres in the original appraisal that was assigned no value. Now it's 20, so that's one factor we need to take into account. And then until we do the soils, we don't know what that'll be, but extend the contract and see, so ask them to see if they're willing to negotiate on the price. And if they are, then to extend the contract in time to finish our, give us time to finish our.
Okay, Mr. Thacker? Yeah, we'll dig into that.
Yeah, well, it seems to me if there's 130 acres and 20 of it's not good, and we want 45 of the highest dry acres, that's gonna have a higher per acre value than what the per acre value of the whole 130 acres together is. Because that's gonna, you know, if you just
Based
split
on
it,
per acre averaging, yes.
you split it 45, 135th, what's left doesn't average out the same.
Yeah, but the only thing is in the appraisal or the appraisals, it did end up indicating X usable at Y, you know, so many usable at X, you know, that type of thing, and did break down the difference in cost and value between the usable acres, the wetlands, the high and dry, so you're correct, but that's already been taken into account in the valuation process.
So the appraisals to date, put it at about 12 acres unusable, so that's what all the appraisals were brought in. And now with the wetland, it's saying 20, so at best we would look at taking, worst case scenario is we then take 8 acres at roughly $84.05 an acre. We'd want to reduce the price by a minimum of $664,000. And then of course we would want to talk about then if there's any soil suitability, we would then want to start looking for compensation or whatever it takes for us to make all the land viable.
Yeah, and that's where it gets
Getting-
costly for a number of reasons, and I don't just mean for us. I think it gets costly for the owner at that point, to where we start saying, look, we're not gonna pay this when we know we have these other mitigating costs that we have to then absorb down the road. So let me just, because I know Ms. Castillo, you said, this is my opinion, you guys tell me if you agree, you don't agree. For me, it's simple. If they'll break off the front 45, if that's what we're gonna call it, then let's entertain that conversation, come back to the board in the next 2 weeks, present that, and let's see if it's an option. If it's not, okay, fine, mark that off the list. Scenario 2 is break off the front, I'm calling it the front, the north part, the 45, and see if there's true negotiations that can happen on the overall acquisition of the entirety, including factoring in the additional costs we realize for mitigation and any other impacts that we're gonna have to overcome. That would be the second part. However, all of that still misses a key piece, which is the financial piece, which is, and this is something I think that's important to be noted as well, is when we started this review, COVID-19 wasn't what it is. And so it's, I don't feel like we've gone down this road in bad faith. Our financial landscape has shifted over the last 6-8 months while we've been also pursuing this opportunity, and that is just the reality of business. When income gets impacted, you have to start looking at acquisition and saying, can we do it, should we do it? So I think that's still an important factor, Dr. Pace, that you pointed out, which is if we even go with 1 or 2 or 1, 2 or 3, how we dice this up, is it still the right financial move for this board at this time, considering all of the other financial impacts that we have to mitigate? So, are you leaving?
So I think what I've heard from everybody is that we're tasking our team, Mr. Callen, Mr. Beal, and Rhonda, to go back to their team and say, this is kind of where the board is. Option 1, we would move forward with the next steps for the 45 acres and a transportation site tomorrow. Okay? The price seemed fair, everything seemed good. We've had great success with the city of St. Cloud, getting approvals for the zoning and the lights and all that kind of stuff. Rhonda's team's done a great job with that, along with Mr. Callen and Mr. Beal. If that's not agreeable, then option number 2 would be, if we're looking at the entirety, we need to talk about some cost mitigation for the factors that are there and decide if it's worth it to spend the $23,000. And this will require an extension, 30 days or 45 days, of our current existing purchase and sale agreement with the Newmans. And if not, after that, we really don't want to hold this on over anybody's head at any point in time. But we will not commit to a full purchase of the $10 million piece without coming back to the board for some further discussion, including some work that Sarah and I can do ahead of time to bring to you about where we are with impact fee, sales tax, and those types of things. Sales tax was down 37% for the last 4 months.
Last 4 months.
Average of 37% over the course of the last 4 months. It gets better every month, but it's still not very good. So those are just, I that's the stuff that kind of is keeping me up at night.
Yeah, and that really is a key part of this conversation is, so, Ms. Blake, from a valuation standpoint, the last time the board discussed this item, your team was gonna go back and look at the valuation appraisals. Was there an additional appraisal completed?
It did, it came in.
And did it
It
come come in, I don't need the number, did it come in line with where, did it come in line with the first appraisal?
Came in line with appraisals 2 and 3.
So board, here's I think the question is, would you move forward with everything that's been discussed in light of the financial concerns that's been discussed? If not, then we need to just say we're done and recognize we can't afford it, we're not gonna buy it, it is what it is.
I mean, I understand where we are, I just don't know how we got here, because I thought we just said that we were done. So my question is, did I misunderstand at the beginning of your presentation when you said that they were not willing to negotiate at all for the 45? Do we know that to be true? I mean, are they even, do you feel like they're going to be receptive to that?
They have said they will not consider just selling the 45 acres.
Okay, so then my question is, why are we even putting that as an option at this point?
If it's definitive, I said that, if it's definitive, then it's definitive.
We haven't really engaged in any lengthy discussions with them. We just went back and said, here's where we think this is going,
Yes.
and here's one of the outcomes that we would like. And they said not interested. That doesn't mean we can't go back. We will continue to negotiate.
Sure, I understand. I would just hate to just extend it, right? Even though I guess we have it on, good information that they're not going to be willing to negotiate for that. Because I thought that's where we were at the beginning of this conversation.
I would
We're
not
not.
recommend an extension unless we feel like we can
Okay.
So I think that the next conversation is, here's where we are, and then it's either a go or a no-go.
It expires when?
So right now, our due diligence period went through the end of October, and we were supposed to close by the end of November. So just to move forward with any additional testing, we would need to bring an amendment to you on November 3rd, provided they would be open to that.
So, if our current contract is 10/31, we don't meet again until 11/3.
Well, 10:30 is the due diligence, we have till November 30 to close.
Yeah, but I wouldn't wanna get out of due.
Right.
We'd have to cancel by the end of the month. We'd have to vote one way or out, in or out.
If the board wants to give us direction to pursue all three alternatives by October 30th, which would be number one, to go down to the 45 acres for the bus transit site. Number two, extend the due diligence period and still close by the end of the year. Or three, to terminate the contract and just walk now. And give us till October 30th to negotiate that with them. That would be the direction that we would need for tonight's meeting.
Yeah, and the only scenario number two would be to also renegotiate the terms of the contract based on the cost.
That's gonna be problematic, because what's value to the school board is not value to the seller. That's gonna be a real hard discussion, to be honest with you all.
Sure.
Seller's gonna say, that I don't care about, the wetland's fine to me, why are you going over that wetland? It's a gross contract price. The one consideration you have to keep this live, to consider this further, is that these bus transportation sites appear to be very hard to get approved. And that's the staff, we're worried about demucking costs equaling the wetlands cost. So there's some serious costs here, but we also think because of the transportation site being so important, maybe it's worth considering.
I think my position's clear on where it is, and Mr. Callen, you kind of hit it at the end, which is either we figure one of these options out, which includes some mitigation on costs, we get out before the end of the due diligence. That's where I stand.
Mr. Weishardt, you had raised earlier, and I picked up on it, do they have the authority to talk to the seller about a staged acquisition that deals with the financial, like we don't need it right now type thing, but we'll buy it at this point?
Sure.
Is that an option they can talk about? I don't know if it would work or not, but I didn't want to lose that option in all the discussion.
I hear you. I'm just, here's what I'm gonna do. Out of respect for the board, I just wanna see, we all may be on the same page, we may be different. Ms. Thacker, what do you wanna do?
I'm fine with where you were going.
Okay. Ms. Castillo?
Okay, if you think that you can have that conversation and get them to somehow agree to the 45 acres, I'm great, because we do need the site. But other than that, just based on the other, financial, just based on where we are financially, then, I don't know that this would be the best purchase for us at the moment. of course, I understand we need the site, so if you really think you can get them to have that conversation, I'm all for it.
I'm not in favor of doing anything that just strings us out.
We all agree, Mr. Booth?
Yeah, I don't think they wanna be strung out either. I'll say this, just to close on this and my thoughts, I know I passed before, but I think the district probably is gonna need this site, the entire site. No question. I understand the financial concerns at this time. I also understand that, and you got three going the other way, so don't worry about what I'm saying, but I just wanna make this statement that, you just don't wanna end up in a situation like we are on West Side right now, scrambling for a high school site, knowing what 50 acres next to Disney cost. It's high. And if they put a bunch of the homes that have already been approved out there, it's gonna be even higher. So that, I'll just say that, and I'll let the new board carry forward with that. Thank you, Mr. Wisher.
Thank you. My only closing comment is do not let our due diligence period expire, no matter what.
Yes.
If we have to cancel the contract, then cancel it. It is what it is. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board, there is no new business, so I'll come for board member comments. Mr. Thacker? Castillo? Booth? Good? Pace, you good? Last thing is our favorite person in the room, Yassine.
I love this guy, by the way.
That's what I didn't wanna miss.
That's what.
I just wanted to say like it's really been a pleasure being here and like getting insight on what it's like and the decisions that you guys like have to make and the like in-depth discussions that you guys have like going back and forth because like you guys are passionate about it, so it's like once one person says one thing, I feel like it's another that just wants to like speak up on something, like another idea or another like word that they want to put in. The first meeting, I remember when I came here, I was nervous and I thought that it was just gonna be like 100% serious, like everything is just gonna be like, I don't know why I imagined it kind of like a courtroom, but since coming here and seeing that you guys all have character and you guys do take your work very seriously, but especially Booth, you guys.
That's fine.
No, just messing. I don't know, I really like how you guys all go about things and I'm just really grateful to have been given this opportunity to, like I said, get insight and see what it's like. And since I'm also like weighing in, you know, the life of a senior, fluctuating with these majors, man. But I'm really looking at political science right now and seeing like everything in the room and everything that's been discussed, whatever's going on, definitely makes me like lean it more towards that. I really like how you guys have like these intriguing and like passionate conversations. Like I said, makes me lean more towards that. Honestly, just once again, thank you guys for this opportunity. It's been a pleasure. Tim, Ricky, it's been really great knowing you guys. I wish you guys the best in whatever it is that you are going to move on forward with. And good luck to you all.
Thank you. Well said. Mr. Booth?
I do. I'm gonna tell you, I've enjoyed having these student representatives the whole time, and I do want, and I loved all of them. That we've had some extremely smart individuals. I will say this on the way out, that this young man understands, has a level of maturity and understanding of what's going on here, more so than any of the students that sat in that chair before, and you should be proud of that. And we've had some extremely intelligent individuals sit there, but sometimes folks just get it, and you get it. I will say this, not one of us sitting up here has a political science degree. I would if you want to get into politics, young man, I think it's something, and I say this to a lot of students because a lot of folks come forward, they say, I love what you do on the school board, I love the fact about being an elected official. Mr. Weisshire's in real estate, I'm in agriculture, in the cattle business, Ms. Castillo is in adult education. Mr. Clarence Thacker is a consultant. Actually, he was in accounting, right, for a long time, high-level accounting. Find out something you're passionate about, serve your community, and let yourself be called to this position. It's not necessarily a position that you go to school to be. I actually would disagree with so many young students going to college to be a politician. Live your life and let your life guide you to being an elected official. if people in your community begin to call you forward and say, and recognize leadership in you. The first time I was given a leadership role in a nonprofit organization, it was because the generation ahead of me saw something in me and called me forward. And all of that leadership I did in my 20s and my 30s led me to this position here. So political science is fine. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. But but I don't think we should be raising politicians in college. I think our communities should call out leaders as they see them. So go do something for your community that's great, engineering or teaching or whatever you want to do. And then real science, not political science, and then let your community call you forward. No, maybe that'll be the last thing I ever say on the dais.
We can only hope. Yeah.
Bring me back. I like
That's it. No. You're great. I've said it before. It's your last meeting with us tonight, so I don't want to miss the opportunity to just say thank you. Mr. Booth said it all very, very well. You're a great representative of not just your generation, but of your school in this district. And I said it earlier, but we truly are proud of you. That we're kind of pouring it on because we really, really want you to understand how impactful your discernment really is and how unique it is to see at the level that you've displayed. So Mr. Booth said all the right things. Stay true to your heart, be a good person, serve others, be smart, be dedicated, and you'll do fine.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I tell you that all of you will be happy. I spoke to him after the last meeting. He has agreed to provide more service and be working with Ms. Castillo and I, with his student, with people from his school regarding the policies we're working on that have been raised, and I thank you.
Awesome.
Good.
Awesome.
With that, we'll stand adjourned.
No,
You got something else?
I was gonna give the gentleman
Yeah,
some
you never
advice.
got to say anything.
It's you. Sorry.
However, if you're interested in the strategic aspect of politics, look into the MBA program. Or anything in business, there's so much more business than you can imagine in this decision.
That's
So,
true.
and now,
We're adjourned.
great.
You got to call that.